At 21 years old, I was at risk for having a heart attack. This is the really shocking part of the video. Did my libido change? If you are in any way thinking about starting birth control, thinking about coming off of birth control, you need to watch this video in full. I'm gonna be sharing my experience coming off of birth control after 15 years, which is scary to say out loud. It has completely changed my life, and I'm gonna be getting into all of the really important details in this video. And this is information that is not talked about enough amongst women. Having experienced all of the horrible things that I've gone through and having come out the other side, I really want to share this information with you. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, I'm Alex. I'm a digital nomad, splitting my time between LA, Italy, Mexico, and other amazing parts of the world. And I love sharing wellness, lifestyle, and fashion videos on this channel. So if that sounds interesting to you, please hit the subscribe button down below. It really helps my channel grow, and it helps me bring more videos to you all each and every week. First, I do want to say I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional in any sense of the word. This is not medical advice. This is just information that I hope helps you in your research to decide what is the best decision for you. So first, I'm going to share a little bit of my story, why I started birth control in the first place, and then I'll jump into what's changed since coming off of it, because I know that's a question that a lot of people have, but I think knowing a little bit about my story and why I got it in the first place will help answer some of those questions. Like many young girls, when I was a teenager, I was really struggling with acne. And when I was 15 years old, I remember going to the doctor with my mom to discuss acne and treatments and next steps. And I came out of that appointment with a birth control prescription. In retrospect, this is incredibly messed up because there were no conversations about what were the underlying causes of my acne and how I might be able to treat those naturally, and no conversation about what the side effects of birth control would be. So I just took that prescription and honestly didn't think twice about it for 15 years. I was on the pill for 5 years, and then I had an IUD for about 10 years. I had both the Mirena IUD and the Kyleena IUD. I was young, a doctor was giving me this information, and I just took them at face value, to be quite honest. Over the next several years, I had various health issues, mainly relating to my gut health and my feminine health. I ended up, when I was in college, being hospitalized for severe anemia. At 21 years old, I was at risk for having a heart attack. I understood how I got to be that anemic, but the assumption was that it had to do something related to my gut health, either an ulcer or some sort of polyp. In the end, I didn't really get a ton of answers, and I also didn't do a great job of doing my own research and understanding what the root cause was. You see a theme here. So after being in the hospital for a week, getting 5 blood transfusions and 2 iron transfusions, I just kind of went back to business as usual. Then about 7 years ago, I started really struggling with my feminine health. I was having severe recurring UTIs and BV. And again, going back to Western doctors, I was just getting handed antibiotics and being told to not wear yoga pants and not stay in wet bathing suits for a long time. And I was just masking the issue. I was never treating the root cause, and I never understood what the heck is going on in my body that is causing these problems. So yes, I dealt with that for 7 years, and last year I was like, you know what, I cannot put up with this any longer. It is just making me absolutely miserable in so many areas of my life, in social situations, with my partner, just physical discomfort. So I ended up seeing a team of holistic medical practitioners. I saw an acupuncturist and a holistic doctor who basically helped me on this journey to research what was going on in my body. I ended up finding a medical article online, I believe from the NIH, that talked about the increased incidence of recurring BV and UTIs for women who are on hormonal birth control, specifically IUDs. So once I read that article and saw a few other articles saying the same thing, I was like, I want it out. Take it out. If this is contributing in any way, shape, or form to my recurring feminine health issues, get it out. That was really the ultimate decision why I decided to come off of birth control. But when I mentioned to my doctors that I wanted to get off birth control, every medical practitioner was like, be careful, honey. Like, your body's gonna be really out of whack. You've been on birth control for a long time. Like, you'll probably have all these crazy symptoms. So I was so nervous. I was actually terrified of what was gonna happen to my body. So I just dove into researching how to prepare my body for coming off of birth control. And this is the really shocking part of the video. And so I don't see any other women having had. I also want to interject here to say that I am very pro birth control in the sense that I strongly believe in women's access to birth control. And there were times in those 15 years where I definitely needed access to it. And I'm forever grateful that I had that as a resource. But the reality is I didn't need it for those 15 years. And I really wish I had known what I was getting myself into by choosing to take birth control. So the hands down most important resource that I found throughout my journey of coming off of birth control is this book. This is In the Flow by Alyssa Vitti. And this book is just a treasure trove of knowledge. It's really a book about women's health and feminine health and how we've been misled to believe that as women, we're just doomed to suffer month over month with these horrible symptoms, with all of these fertility and feminine health issues. And really the premise of this book is that if you are knowledgeable about your hormones and work to regulate your hormones, a lot of the issues that we face as women will go away. And she goes into a lot of detail about the history of birth control, how it was developed by big pharma, the fact that male birth control has barely been researched, mostly because when men were in clinical trials for birth control, they didn't like the fact that they were moody and gaining weight. And so a lot of these men just bailed on the trials. And so it was ultimately left to women to do the research and be the guinea pigs. She talks a lot about the effects of hormonal birth control on your body. I'm just gonna read you a short list of all the ways that hormonal birth control can affect your body. It can affect your brain, it can affect your hormones, obviously. It can affect your immune system, your metabolism, your gut and your microbiome, your sex drive, your stress response. I mean, it's just, there's so much information in here. But the best part of this book is that she teaches you naturally how to balance your hormones through a few steps with tackling your environment, tackling the products that you're putting on your body, like your beauty and your skincare, and also by tackling what you're putting in your body, your food. One of the techniques that she outlines in her book is called seed cycling, and I've made an entire video detailing more about seed cycling. But like I said, this is a really shocking part of the video. I was so nervous about these potential side effects of coming off of birth control that I decided to implement her strategies a month before I came off of birth control. So I started seed cycling in May of 2023 and I got my IUD out in June. And I'm telling you, I didn't have a single side effect. I know most women experience breakouts and mood swings and fatigue, withdrawal bleeding. I didn't have any of that. None of it. I got my period back right away. I had virtually no period symptoms either. And honestly, my body never felt better. All right, let's now talk about some of the changes that I noticed in my body after coming off of birth control. So I already said, I wasn't experiencing any of the negative side effects of coming off of birth control. And I gained a lot of really positive things. Number one, I have a very regular cycle. I've actually been enjoying this so much more than I thought I would. I just feel like I'm getting to know my body again. I feel like I was detached from myself, from my feminine energy, I guess, like my inner wild woman, having not had a true period or cycle for 15 years. I feel like I'm starting to understand the way that my body changes, my moods, and like even just my connectedness and my spirituality to myself. It's been really powerful, and yeah, just very cool to experience, honestly. And now that I don't have, you know, the negative sides of like period symptoms, thanks to my cycle syncing and seed cycling, it's just a much more enjoyable experience than I thought it would be. Side note, I also started using a menstrual disc because menstrual discs and cups are a lot healthier for your vaginal microbiome, and I've been really enjoying that. I honestly didn't love the Diva cup. It just didn't work for me and my anatomy. I'm using a menstruation disc called the Salt disc. I'll leave an image somewhere here on screen, and I absolutely love it. Like, I have not used a tampon in 9 months. And it's awesome. Okay, the second thing I know you all want to know about libido. Did my libido change? Yeah, it did. And it felt like a veil was just lifted, where things that kind of didn't have much of like an impact, an emotional impact on my body now really did. And the same is true for sex. Before, it just, I don't know, it was not nearly as like interesting or exciting as I feel like it is now. That was like very instant. Within a few days / weeks of getting my IUD out, I was like, whoa, okay, this feels different. And it feels like things are like moving and operating a lot better down there as well. And it felt like everything was kind of tampered with hormonal birth control, and now I'm really experiencing like the full range. And number 3, and honestly most importantly for me, because this is the thing that motivated me to get off of birth control, my feminine health is transformed. Now, I can't 100% attribute that to getting off of birth control. I have been working with my holistic doctor. She put me on a really strict protocol that included getting off of most medications, especially hormonal IUDs. Yeah, this protocol was really designed for me to heal my gut microbiome, heal my vaginal microbiome, so that I stop having these recurring infections and issues. That's like honestly a completely separate video, but I'm happy to make one if that's interesting to you, because it has been life changing. Like I said, I was dealing with these issues every single month, suffering every single month for 7 years, and now I have completely like normal, no infections, no BV, no UTIs for over 9 months, which I could literally cry about. So if that sounds interesting to you, leave me a comment down below. Okay, now I want to get into some common questions that I get about my experience. The first question is, how did your partner react? I've been in a relationship now with my boyfriend for over 5 years. So he's like definitely been along with me for this journey. Like I said, I was having some of these feminine health issues even before I met him. So he knew like what a toll this was having on me mentally. And so he was really supportive, honestly. He was like, if you think this is going to be helpful, like go for it. So he was very supportive, which I'm incredibly thankful for. And this leads me into the second question, which is, what do you use now? Because we're not ready to have children. So we definitely needed to make a plan as to like how we were going to be safe. So I was really interested in using natural cycles. Now, I also knew that just based on my lifestyle, doing the thermometer every day to take my temperature orally was just not gonna cut it. Like, I was not gonna be consistent. I don't know, my schedule can shift, honestly, day to day. I travel a lot. I just knew that like it was going to be complicated. So I ended up getting the Aura Ring, and I have my Aura Ring connected to the Natural Cycles app. Yes, this is pricey, but for me, it was a worthwhile investment. And I'll say it's actually been a really great tool for just learning about my body. I didn't know a damn thing about follicular phases, luteal phases, how my body would change from phase to phase. The Natural Cycles app does a really good job with educating you about feminine health. But at the same time, my boyfriend was not comfortable fully relying on the Natural Cycles app, which I totally understand. You can do your own research and look up, how effective Natural Cycles is compared to other types of birth control. And so we decided that we were also going to use just regular protection. So that's what we do right now. All right, so that is everything about my journey getting off of birth control. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, it is to pick up this book, whether you are considering getting on or off birth control, whatever your journey is, whether even if you're not on birth control, this is such invaluable information for all of us women to have. I can't recommend this book enough. I have been shouting it from the rooftops and sharing it with all the women in my life. So definitely go check this out. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. If you want to hear more about my feminine health journey, I have, my gosh, so much to share. Leave me a comment down below. Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos from me, and your support really helps my channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.